Remember your buddy Simo told you it was a good idea not to play starters in the preseason game?
I've actually seen a lot of Falcons fans upset that Raheem not playing Michael Penix and some of the other key starters in the preseason games. I don't think this is actually a bad idea.
Now we got several preseason injuries. Colts are lucky that Anthony Richardson is okay, but Rondale Moore, Tajay Spears, and Najee Harris haven't done too well. Even Rashad White for the Buccaneers has a groin injury.
Shima. I mean, let's finish. I just want to say that the Falcons are going to have a losing record and the Buccaneers are going to win the division.
Since you're going to win the division and we're going to have a losing record, you should have no problem putting a friendly wager on that, right?
Yeah, if the Buccaneers win the division, you have to wear a Buccaneers jersey. And if the Falcons win the division,
I don't care about winning the division. I just want us to win the playoffs.
That's a stupid bet. Why would I take that parlay?
But dude, they're your words. You said it. And is that a Hawks hat?
Like the Hawks and the Braves.
Wait a minute.
That's why the Falcons are English. Snarf, snarf.
What's going on, family? It's your boy Simo the C. Mitchell. You tuned into another episode of the Falcons Bird Bath. Shout out to all our loyal watchers and subscribers. And if you love what we're doing over here at Point Game Official, hit that like and subscribe button. Stay up to date with the favorite sports analyst's favorite analyst. Really love breaking the game down and making it easy and putting it into layman's terms for people. But when I start talking facts and a fan,
the Falcons suck. Snarf, snarf. That's why you guys don't have any rings. Snarf, snarf.
Just makes me all warm and cozy inside like grandma's homemade cookies. And before we get into it, the question of the day is, how many sacks do you think that the Falcons can get out of their top 3 edge rushers this year? Over or under on 25 sacks out of the Falcons' top 3 pass rushers this year? And who do you think the Falcons' top 3 pass rushers will be at the end of the season? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's been days since the Falcons had their first preseason game, and we actually have joint practices going on with the Titans right now, which I wasn't able to make, but I was able to watch a little bit of the live one-on-ones online, which we'll get into in a second. It is just preseason, so I don't get too excited about everything. I'm not caring about wins or losses. I'm caring about execution. There's a lot that I like from the Falcons offense and defense, especially with some of the rookies and some of the young players that we have on the defense. Even though the Lions didn't play any of their starters, still some good things to analyze and take away from what the Falcons actually did. First and foremost, you can see the change in the philosophy of the defense and the energy that we have with Jeff Ulbrich. It's like night and day from what we actually had with Jimmy Lake. And I'm really loving the philosophy of Nate Ollie.
Nobody's taking no more than like 4 plays in a row. Taking more than 4 plays in a row, they're probably doing some tempo or some hurry up. Like how the way we asking these guys to play, it's a different style. The only way to do that, want those guys to be fresh. Can't ask you to get out the stack, get off the ball if you're taking 7 plays in a row. You just can't do it.
We saw 11 hats running to the ball on all the defensive plays. We saw guys coming back for pursuit. We saw guys giving it all their effort. Fans want to see turnovers and they want to see big plays and playmakers out there on our defense. And while you do need dogs on defense, making big plays isn't all about talent. A lot of it has to do with hustle and just being around the ball. If you run to the ball, good things happen. And we saw that. Early on, we saw a sack from Arnold Ebiketie. And then we saw a forced fumble out there by Joshua Woods, which was actually caused by some of the pursuit of Brandon Dorlus on the defensive line. He got off his block, and he did miss the tackle as he was lunging for the guy, but it slowed him down enough so that Joshua Woods could come up and make the tackle. We got a recovery because we had defensive backs and everybody else running to the ball. Brandon Dorlus has looked really good with using his hands to get off of blocks, and he's played a lot on the other side of the line of scrimmage. We also saw that out of Rook as well as Zach Harrison. Morgan Fox is out there making plays. We saw that heavy rotation going and guys collapse in the pocket. People will say that it's just against the second team, but I'd rather see my players go out there and dominate against the second team as opposed to struggling against the second team, which we've actually seen in the past with the Falcons' former defensive philosophy. And I was really happy to see Pearce Jr. out there as well, too. He's special. Now, he didn't have any sacks, but he made plays that didn't show up on the stat sheet. I really like what he was doing out there on the pass rush, but what I'm really most excited about with him is that he's really good against the run. If you look at one of the early plays in the game, the Lions ran a split zone. But what it is a zone play that you get the defense flowing to one side and you create a 3-way option where there's a cutback off of a wham block by the tight end. And what a wham is when you have a fullback or a tight end or an H-back coming and trapping a defensive lineman or an edge player. A lot of times on those plays, the defensive end or the edge player will get cut blocked, or they'll take that guy head on with their full body and they'll create a little bit of a cutback lane right there. Now, when you look at this play, the tight end actually has him dead to rights, but Pearce just goes around him. Typically, they tell players that if the edge guy goes around him on that play, it's okay. But he's so quick in space that he gets there right away and he actually stops the cutback. If you look at the running back, he actually wants to cut it in that space. All of our defensive linemen played on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage, and they forced the running back to make a decision on trying to make a cutback. But Pearce is right there, and he actually forces the cutback into the rest of the traffic. You want to see your edge defenders make sacks. You want them to get strip sacks and turnovers. But playing off that edge is also about being disruptive. There's another play where he actually beat the tackle around the edge when he flushes the pocket. And we go and we make a tackle on that, of course. Early on, the Lions tried to block him head up with the tight end. He made them quickly reconsider doing that. On this play, you can see where he just extends and just bench presses the guy up off of him. And again, he didn't make the tackle because he didn't need to. The rest of the defensive line was actually playing and getting on the opposite side of the ball, doing what Nate Ollie has been coaching them, GTFO. Arnold Ebiketie on the flip side, even though I think he's going to be really good and he looked great out there rushing the passer, he still seems to be a bit of a liability in the run game. If you look at this one play, he actually gets blocked by a tight end, and you just really hate to see that. Pearce Jr. and Jaylen Walker, we saw very quickly in the preseason game that they can't block these guys with just tight ends. Jaylen Walker on pass rush and on run plays, he's splitting double teams. He's actually playing a lot stouter in there. You can't just decide, oh, I'm just going to run at these guys. Biggest things that I was looking for out of James Pearce and Jaylen Walker was, can they get the quarterback off their spot? How are they reacting to some of the plays out there? Are they running to the football? There's a couple pass plays where he's able to peel off on the running back and cover in space a little bit as well, too. Like I said, using him the same way that the Vikings use Andrew Van Ginkel. Now, he's definitely going to have to make sure that he works on his moves a little bit more and having some counter moves, but strong guy, and I love the way he was out there playing. Secondary really got in there too as well. DeMarco Hellams, a.k.a. Bam, was out there punking people like he was Debo. During a lot of the offseason, I was saying that I think that Xavier Watts or Jordan Fuller are main competitors for that other safety spot, but the way DeMarco Hellams was playing on Friday night, I wouldn't be mad at seeing him as the other safety, and I'm kind of leaning toward him as well, too. It's going to be my question of the day is, who do you think is going to be the other safety next to Jesse Bates? But the way DeMarco Hellams was playing, I pretty much feel like he's going to be that guy. Now, all the safeties look good, and they say that you can never have too many safeties, and for the most part, that's pretty much true because you can play those guys versatilely all around the defense. DeMarco Hellams doesn't appear to be a liability in pass coverage, and I love what he's bringing as a guy that fills in against the run. He's really becoming an enforcer for us, and you got to have those type of guys on the defense. That was a clean hit on that guy that he had, by the way, where they threw a flag. So now Jordan Fuller looked good, and Xavier Watts looked good as well, too. But I'm going to kind of curb my expectations on him a little bit for right now. I think he's going to have to get a little bit more game time under his belt, and he may not be an immediate day one guy. But I really love where we're at with these guys. Another person that I really liked that really popped is Billy Bowman. He's making plays all over the field that didn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. He didn't have any deflections or any of that type of stuff. But Billy Bowman comes down and sets the edge and forces contain and pushes everything back in. He looked great in the running game and the short passing game, coming up, making tackles, and being a forced defender. He did actually, however, make a great play on special teams, and that's why I think it's going to be so much harder for somebody like Kobe Bryant and some of these other guys to make the team, because Billy Bowman is a guy that's out there making plays no matter what, special teams and on defense. He actually looked better than D. Alford out there, and D. Alford's a little bit of a liability in the run game, but he seen him get picked on a bit with the pass coverage as well, too. He has 3 phases, and plays like that can make it really great with us being able to trap people on defensive field position. But another person I mentioned earlier was linebacker Josh Woods. Woods is the guy that actually stood out on tape, even though they gave more reps to D'Angelo Malone. D'Angelo Malone missed a few tackles and kind of got blocked on a few plays, but Josh Woods was out there hitting. He's a guy that when I actually saw him in training camp, he's actually standing out a lot. I had never heard of him before. He was actually making big plays and big hits in training camp. Honestly, I think he's more of a lock to make the 53-man roster than D'Angelo Malone, who's actually been a good special teamer. But the way Woods was a great open field tackler in the preseason game, I actually would rather have him as a special teams player as well, too, and I think he's going to be better for us than actually keeping D'Angelo Malone. Now, we know that Troy Anderson is still on the pup, and he's not practicing or playing yet, and J.D. Bertrand was out with a concussion. But in case those 2 guys went down, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable with having Woods out there. And honestly, having a guy like that, if he can rotate, it actually allows us to do a little bit more with Caden Ellis as well, too, as a pass rusher. So we look at the offensive side of the ball. Easton Stick looks pretty good out there. I wouldn't feel bad if the Falcons were able to trade Kirk Cousins and get something good for him. He made some really key throws. He was pretty accurate, and he had pretty good pocket presence. And he's a little bit more mobile than having Kirk Cousins out there as well, too. He's not a sitting duck. We're actually able to run our full offense with a great deal of play action as well, too. But I really like the Falcons' situation at backup quarterback. At the end of the first half, Easton Stick actually ran the 2-minute drill pretty good. I love the usage of play clock and the timeouts by the coaches. Easton Stick made 2 huge throws to Chris Blair during that 2-minute drill, and one of them actually went for a touchdown off a fade in the end zone. James Pearce actually had a good bull rush out there in one-on-ones when I saw some of the joint practice with the Tennessee Titans. So like what I saw out of some of the DBs and even our wide receivers out there as well, too. Kyle Pitts had a really nice catch on a pass in traffic during the one-on-one period. And that's something we're going to need out of him a lot moving forward this season as a tight end. We're going to need him to make a lot of those smaller underneath catches as well as the deeper things. Drake London had a few receptions as well, too. Say that the Falcons had a lot of pass breakups and actually had an interception as well with Jesse Bates as well, too. Arnold Ebiketie was able to register a sack as well as Leonard Floyd. And they say that Xavier Watts played very well, and he actually got a lot of first-team reps with the first unit, as well as Jaylen Walker. He also got to get first-team reps. They said Michael Penix looked really good out there as well, too. You got to be really happy and excited about that type of development with Michael Penix in practice, because they're not actually going to play him in preseason games, which, again, I said I think is actually a pretty good idea. I don't think he needs a lot of preseason reps. These guys are going to be throwing vanilla things at them. But in practice, they said he did pretty good against the Titans. I know it's the Titans. I know it's practice. But you got to do it in practice before you can do it in the game mode. And we saw him come in last year with limited reps and do pretty well as well anyway. One other key thing that I've seen in Falcons news recently is that the Falcons have actually been trying Bijan Robinson out there as a punt return. The idea of having Bijan out there as a punt return. Now, I don't think it's a thing that we're going to have him out there regularly returning punts. But, you know, in a scenario where it's maybe the end of the half or maybe it's a playoff game or we just need an offensive boost real quick where there's only so much time on the clock. Shown that he might be the most dangerous guy with the football in his hand after catch. Speaking of Bijan, I recently saw on Reddit and with miscellaneous various fans that there's a nickname for Bijan Robinson and Tyler, Juke and Nuke. I saw another person on that same Reddit thread call him Juke Nuke. I love and approve of both of those nicknames. You guys, let me know in the comments what you think about that nickname, Juke and Nuke. All right, guys, that's our show for today. Stay tuned for the rest of our off-season, preseason news moving into the rest of the regular season. C-Mo to C. Mitchell, Point Game Official, checking out.